Hello, welcome to Love Boys Info. My name is KinnPorsche and this is my first English podcast. Now, I'm doing this because I've been asked by a few people online saying, "Oh, I thought your podcast is in English," and then it turned out to be Chinese. And when I started the podcast, I want to do a Chinese podcast because there aren't a lot. I thought it would be pretty cool to do one. But seemingly, people wanted to find out more about what I've been talking about, and I thought it might be quite nice for me to do an English one that shares some of the stuff that's happening in Asia in regards to boys' love stories. One other thing that I really love to talk about is the differences between how people see KinnPorsche in the West versus those in the East. And it's been brought up because it seems like majority of the people in Asia didn't seem to have a problem or discussed, the storyline in KinnPorsche, whereas in the English-speaking one, there are a little bit more. That said, some people have been feeling that when there was a petition that went up about how KinnPorsche were asked to be removed because of its very adult and mature content, it sounded a little bit crazy. Now, from my perspective, I think that we were warned way back that this is going to be a mature audience only BL series, and we're expecting lots of sex scenes and violence. That I'm comfortable with. I think what I'm uncomfortable with is the rape scenes in the series. And I've also had people who messaged me on my TikTok saying, "Hey, look, if you wanted something more sort of lovey-dovey, why don't you just go and watch something else? Don't watch this." It's not about the violence, it's not about the sex, it's about the messages that has been being brought. What is interesting is, of course, in Thailand in 2021 February, the Channel 3 has broadcasted a storyline where a woman was raped and her husband disowned her as a result. And many netizens went online and posted how they are uncomfortable with those storylines and that it is about time that Thailand keep up with what's happening around the world, and that rape scenes are no longer acceptable. Many scholars have also commented how that rape culture is being normalized on their media because they often see storyline where women were raped, men then being asked to look after the woman, and eventually they fall in love with each other. We know that in Thailand is one of the very few countries that actually accepted marriage as a condition for prosecution. So a perpetrator is able to marry the victim in return of not getting jail time. What is interesting is, of course, there has been a lot of rape scenes in BL. So Tan Type, for example, has got scenes where Tan has gave Type hickeys without his consent, or Sarawat has been forcing himself onto Tyne in the novel, where even though Tyne has said no, and then he eventually even bled and hurt himself. And in series 3, 4, and 5 of KinnPorsche, we see Kinn forcing himself onto Porsche when they were both under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and Kinn was well aware that Porsche was not able to make consent. And Beyond Cloud had posted how they do not support it and that they've made it quite clear that it is actually illegal in Thailand to have unconsented sex if the person is under influence. What is interesting to see in those episodes is that Porsche was victim blamed. The fact that the father blamed Porsche for being drugged because he wasn't paying attention at work and have asked Kinn to punish him. Kinn has developed a feeling of that he has done something wrong and he wanted to take care of Porsche and apologize, but not accepting that. So he's trying to reach out to say, "I will look after it. after you because I've done something wrong. At the same time, we know that Porsche was having episodes of nightmares. He thought he was thinking about it. He went to have a shower because he felt dirty, and he tried to have sex with a woman to try to forget what happened, but that didn't work out. In episode 6, we also know that Porsche have now accepted the apologies and had even started to fall in love with Kinn. Kinn, in one scene, got a bit carried away, kissed Porsche, realized he did the wrong thing, pulled away, and they were basically sort of saying, hey, I know what happened. That's okay. I'm over it. They developed a much closer relationship because they were handcuffed basically the whole day, and they've started talking, and they, started to get to know each other. Porsche has basically said, yeah, I've already forgiven you. It's all good. What's interesting with this is that we often see that if someone just apologizes to somebody for a very serious crime, that is being sort of, I guess, been enforced on our media that we should just let that go and accept apology. Whereas we also know that in real life, a lot of couples are raped. So more very often, particularly women are raped by their husband or boyfriend, and we know that at least about 15% of Thailand women spoke out about this, and we know that obviously the numbers are way higher than that. We also understand that sex between couples are often not seen as rape because they said they felt like this is a duty for the one who is sort of at the bottom or not up in the hierarchy to actually, I need to satisfy the other person, so it's my duty to have sex with that person irrespective of whether or not I wanted to do it. I think one of the very interesting thing here is that at the same time we have Cutie Pie, where it's giving us a really good contrast where Hyalin would have asked, whereas Hyalin have asked Give for approval to a physical relationship, have asked him to say stop when he wanted to, and Helen wasn't taking advantage of the fact that they are already in a engagement, that they are in a relationship, therefore he could do whatever he wants. Made it quite clear that the partner can also decide and have a say on the sexual relationship. I think what has also been very interesting as the days unfold, and we've been hearing stories behind Demi House, which were the authors, what's been happening between Filmania, which was the original production house, and now Beyond Cloud. There's also been stories online where Mal was apparently sexually harassed by the authors. All of these are not actually making this production shedding any good lights. That seems like for them, sexual assault is a very common and acceptable behavior in this little production house. Now, I know some people go, oh, well, this is a fictional story. This is about mafia. They don't do things the right it should be. It does not make that right because we don't need to promote rape culture as the norm. Whatever happened there should not be accepted. We also know that further down KinnPorsche the series, there will be a couple more rape scenes, and that's actually quite uncomfortable, especially those who have been sexually assaulted or victims of. This is really triggering for them, and I think for a lot of people who haven't been through it, thank God you haven't, couldn't quite understand why this is a problem. I mean, I remember the first time I was forcibly kissed by somebody who I can still remember every single moment, smell, temperature, scenery. It scarred me for a long time. And same with when I was pressured into have a sexual relationship with another person. It scarred me for life, and I find it extremely difficult to move on. And I get really triggered. Now, I think for a lot of people, great, they've never had to experience that, but for those who have, we would expect that BL has moved so far now from where it was that we could be able to portray these stories about how KinnPorsche were trying to figure out themselves and figuring out whether they have feelings for each other in a much better way. I think it's been interesting that we've been seeing a lot of extremely progressive Thai BL, Not Me, The Miracle of Teddy Bear, and Cutie Pie. And yet we had a storyline that goes way back to think that coercion between two people are okay. So yeah, I'm slightly disappointed. It doesn't make me stop watching it. I still support the cast because I think they've done an amazing job. But I just wish that they've changed the storyline to be something a little bit more 22nd century and really, understand that we can talk about mature storyline while also socially responsible. Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I hope to hear from you again soon. And yeah, I'll do some more in English. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about. And see you later. Bye.